Hello, so today we are going to do this problem ransom note, which is part of Leetcode daily challenge. So we get a ransom note string and a magazine string, and we want to return true if ransom note can be constructed by using letters from magazine, right? So if we can construct it by using letters from magazine, we want to return true, otherwise return false. And each letter in magazine can only be used once in ransom note string. Yeah. So for example, here we have A and magazine is B only, so we can't. Here A, B, well, with this A we can, but the second A, there is no second A. So I know the description makes it seem like we only need to have unique occurrences of letters in ransom, but that's not what the problem really means. It's the number of occurrences of character in ransom need to be smaller than the number of occurrence in the same of the same character in magazine. So for example, if we take a look at this last example, we have two A's, so we return true, right? So it's not unique letters. And we have only lowercase English letters. Yeah, so that's the problem. Now let's see how we can solve it. Okay, so what can we do? So the first thing we can do actually is just the description of the problem, which is what we need is to have the ransom count of a character. So in ransom notes, so for each character in the ransom note, we need the count of that character to be smaller or equal than the count of it in magazine, right? And if ever we find one that is bigger, we should return false, right? Because that means, let's say for example, that means the character, let's say, occurs maybe three times, and then only once in magazine. So this is ransom note, let's call it R, and magazine, let's call it maybe M, right? So if it occurs 3 times and 2 times in M, magazine only, that means we can't construct it, so we return false. Let's say it occurs once, and then maybe we have just B, but no B in magazine, so the count would be 0 in magazine, and the count here would be 1. So that will also work with this check, because we return 1, and 1 is bigger than 0, so we return false, which we should be, because the character is not in magazine. Is there another case? Yeah, let's say we have something like this, and magazine is like AAB. Well, the number of occurrences of A is 2 smaller than the one of M, so that works as well, because we are using these 2, and we are using B is equal, so 1, so that also it will pass, because we want to return false, right? So that's the idea. You can use a map to instead of counting each time with this call, you can use a map to store the number of occurrence of each character in both ransom and note and in magazine. You could do that with just a hash map, or in Python you could use a counter as well, and both should work fine. So in this case we will use a counter. So let's say counter. You could use a map, as I said, and just do a loop on the characters, and each time increment the occurrence of that character. It should be pretty easy to do. And now we can just say collections.counter for ransom note, and do the same for magazine. This would be magazine counter, and then we'll go through each character in, and we'll check if this for that character is bigger. If the number of occurrence is bigger, which is what we said here, then we want to return false. Otherwise we want to return true. So let's run this. I'll submit. Okay, so that passes. In terms of time complexity, we are doing just O of n here, n being the length of ransom note. In terms of space, we are using O of n plus O of m, n being the length of ransom note, and m being the length of magazine, right? We can slightly adjust this if we want, like just to show you another way of doing it. So we can check that all characters have valid number of occurrences, which means basically smaller or equal. And we can just return it like this. So just making sure every character in Ransom occurs a number of times smaller or equal than the occurrences in magazine. And that should work in the same way. Cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, I think, for this problem. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe, and see you on the next one. Bye.